As we go through all this section right here is from a keynote I did earlier in the year. And this is just puts a context of why, again, remediating, it's time to start working on remediating. As I mentioned before, we are making a hell of a lot of progress in the industry. We're locking up people. We're knocking down botnets. We're knocking down botnets into totality. We've done a couple of botnets where we took it down to 0, right? Total elimination of the botnet. Which was amazing to do that. We're having massive industry coordination like DNS Changer. One of the big things of DNS Changer is we had operators, law enforcement, community response teams, national response teams all throughout the world working together, which was pretty amazing with that. The level of collaboration is increasing with it. So this is all, to me, leads me down the path of massive optimism. Here's a bunch of groups. So part of, YASMO, II, NSPSec, DNS, ORC, MAAWG, APWG, FIRST, all these different groups and a lot of different investigative teams are making a difference, making an impact. And if you're not in some of these teams, you're in MAAWG now, so you've done the first step. You've been in MAAWG now, so this is great. So that's one of the teams. And you can always do things within MAAWG environment. You can always use the MAAWG resources and say, we're going to band together and work on investigating this particular issue or this particular criminal enterprise. And MAAWG has the resources to get that going. So you talk to the MAAWG leadership and say, hey, we got 5 of us together. We want to go out there and work together and investigate these things. This stuff works. I highly encourage you to do that. And this leads me to where I think this year is the turning point. I'm really optimistic about really pushing back against all these cyber criminal activities for some of the key factors, and I'll walk through these things. First, what I call, we're near Washington D.C., so you hear this public-private partnership, and I go it's not public-private partnership. The thing that makes a difference and why we're making effectiveness, a group like MAAWG is private-to-private collaboration. Chris came in here and we gave the rules with the videotaping and things like that, where the anonymity and the certain criteria of MAAWG, that's private-to-private collaboration. It's the private-to-private collaboration with public participation that's making the difference. It's companies being able to work with each other cross-border and internationally together that's making the difference. And when we need it, we reach out to law enforcement. We reach out to FBI. We reach out to Interpol. We reach out to Europol, right? And then we work with those groups. So, taking the extra step and working with your peers, who could be your competitors, is really encouraged. And people are doing that and encourage more of that. The public-private partnerships are working, right? And NCFTA, as one group out there, is working quite effectively. They've been a major facilitator with operations of the FBI, working quite well with that, right? So this work is progressing forward, right? The existing technologies to track the criminals, highly encourage everybody here to look at passive DNS. DNSDB is part of your homework. The links are on the wiki for that, right? And participate with that, because those are tools that are helping us really uncover what the bad guys are doing with DNS and catching them as they do it. As they, on the internet, if you set up the proper telemetry, you can't hide. And the criminals have been gaining some undercover operations with DNS because we haven't been giving ourselves to good visibility. Now with passive DNS, we're getting the visibility where we can see them stage 100 domain names for the next spam run and take down those domains before they actually get a chance to do the spam run, right? So we can uncover this stuff. So we're getting some new tools and technologies parallel to this session. And I guess you guys get to watch it on tape. April Lorenzen's doing a seminar on how to use these DNS tools, right? So it's one of those things I highly encourage to look at and do, because we're coming up with good tools. The existing technologies for remediation, this is next section here. The remediation part is working, right? So people say, oh, how do I notify my customer for a botnet? It's way too expensive. Well, we're finding cost-effective ways of doing it now, right? Which I'll talk about in the next section. All right. The action now is prepare, right? we're working quite well for doing cybersecurity defense, the tools, the best common practice to protect ourselves with it. All right? Effective collaboration tools out there. All right? So this is a screenshot from one of the tool sets out there. There's several different operational security portals out there. All right? So those are working out well. We are getting things into court that would blow people away 10 years ago. A judge says, you can sinkhole this particular domain name for this amount of time into this IP address. This is in court orders, right? Where there's, sinkholes are appearing in a court order, right? And this is in multiple countries that this is appearing in, right? So you get things into, judges and juries, right? Allows us to push things through. What Microsoft is doing, some people go like, oh my goodness, some people say, yay, that's great. Where basically Microsoft is being on the forefront of using civic society, civil lawsuits. Instead of criminal suits, they're doing civil suits. They're going and suing. Oh, your infrastructure is being used as part of a botnet that's victimizing my customers. I sue you. I'll confiscate all the resources until Joe Smith shows up in court. Right? Oh, wow, hey, now I got access to all the data, right? So using interesting tools out there in the legal system, which is totally natural with it. Autonomous system sovereignty. We are finding where, like with Rove Digital, where, why do I need to accept traffic from an autonomous system that I know is just spending out garbage? You put reputation behind it and say, I don't want to see it, and you're probably going to see more of that autonomous system sovereignty out there. Real-time data security sharing. There is an SIE session going on, as we speak right now, so you may want to go down and look at that workshop this afternoon, the other sections of it. But this is a real-time data sharing. In other words, part of the collaboration is part of what's expected with the FCC CISTRIC anti-botnet code of practice. This is a tool out there that is working where we can share real-time data. With DNSDB, with the DNS changer, we're able to share the feeds out all over the industry in real time quite effectively using this technology, right? And then we're tracking it. And we're going to get more surveys out there, and I encourage others to really track the impact to society. Where this is important is as you track who is paying for all this. Right? If somebody breaks into your customer's, computer, they victimize and they steal money out of the bank. Okay? It's a personal account. The bank in the United States reimburses that individual. Okay? Because there's a law in the United States to say the individual is going to reimburse it because it's a personal account. The bank then goes to their insurance company and makes a claim against it. So the bank isn't paying for it. The insurance company is paying for it. So one of the factors that everybody here has to be mindful of why we need to do remediation work is that the insurance companies are starting to pay notice. 2 years ago when I called a bunch of insurance companies and asked them this, are you tracking this? And basically what I did is I took a hit from my wife. My wife's credit card got hit by a cash-out scheme. So, and it was precise. I'm talking precise. The credit card she was using had a $5,000 acceptable loss threshold. It was $4,990. Okay? Precise. 15 different institutions, all in the Miami area. Okay? Victoria's Secret, Walmart, all these different stores, right? It was basically a secret shopper cash-out operation. So they took the stolen credit card, they were given the card and say, here's your shopping list. Go out there and buy these things and deliver them, and I'll give you your money. That's a secret shopper operation. You go out there and buy them in secret. And they're given a little white card, right? Now it used to be in those days with it. So when that happened, of course, we call up the credit card agency and my wife's account's taken care of, but I said, let's take it the next level over. All right? I called my buddy at the credit card company and said, at the fraud department, says, hey, you mind if I track down to the insurance companies? I want to find out who's doing the real payout. He said, no problem. And he gave me some numbers. I went down each institution, found their fraud and abuse heads, talked to each of them, and found out the insurance companies. Found 4 insurance companies out of them. There was the common of them, right? Talked to those insurance guys and said, hey, do you know that this is happening? That this card was stolen with this over here, with this particular malware, and I walked through the whole economic cycle of it, and they say, we had no idea this was going on. So this is why we're paying all this money out, okay? These figures over here, what that's going to do to us in the service provider world, right, is insurance companies are going to come down over the next few years, and they're going to say, what are you doing? And if you say, well, I'm not doing anything, they're going to say, okay, wait a minute. This is capitalism at work. Somebody's paying for the crime, and it's rolling up to insurance companies. And the way capitalism works is they mitigate risk, right? Just like in this building, there are fire codes. The insurance company mandates these fire codes. And these fire codes over time, either logic in engineering or School of Hard Knocks, have instituted how this building is laid out in the fire code in there. If you don't do the fire code, their insurance agency isn't going to pay the insurance on the place. If you don't have the insurance on the place, we couldn't be meeting here. Okay? Welcome to capitalism. Risk mitigation in a capitalistic society. Service providers are going to hit this when you got that much money being lost with it. So that's what these studies are going to mean. Take back the DNS. You know, I think I said enough of it. So this is going to be 2012, we're already seeing it, tracking it straight up. A lot of progress going on. All right, this is why I'm really optimistic about what we're doing out here.